welcome to the project. Tonight, the secretive process of picking a new pope has entered its second day. So far, only black smoke from the Sistine Chapel, the 133 cardinals just moments away from the next round of voting.
Thousands have gathered, waiting in a crowded St. Peter's Square. Reacting to black plumes, confirming a new pope had not yet been decided.
We were not surprised by the black smoke.
I feel a bit disappointed, but I would be very surprised if it would be white.
I'll be back tomorrow to see the smoke again, and hopefully we see who's the new papa.
For the second day of the conclave, the cardinals have come together in the Sistine Chapel to vote as many as 4 times a day, and they'll continue to meet day in and day out until a candidate receives a 2/3 majority plus one.
Now it is sort of distilled down to these electors, these 133 cardinals who are eligible to vote. They will process. This is also an election. And so they are very much aware of their responsibility going into this.
I think it may be Friday. The last conclave, the first full day, at the end of that, it was over. I think over the last 100 years, the average has been about 7 ballots.
For millions around the world, it's not about when, but who.
I do feel like there should be, if not an Asian, then definitely a person of color.
We are expecting our cardinal from the Philippines.
For now, the world waits.
We're just so divided as a world. So it would be nice to just have someone with love, a lot of love.
We are live from the lands of the cooler nation. Joining us once more from Rome is Vatican correspondent Colm Flynn. Colm, good to see you again. The black smoke was almost 2 hours late yesterday. What happened?
Yeah, Waleed, it was a nerve-wracking, intense experience because there we were standing at 7 p.m. local time here in Rome among the 45,000 people in front of St. Peter's Square. And we were told between 7 and 7:30 we would see smoke within that half hour, black or white. So you can imagine, working in television, we all went on air. Myself and my colleagues were talking non-stop for 2 hours because we couldn't cut to commercial, we couldn't go to a VT because we were afraid we'd miss the moment. It should never have been that late. Something went wrong yesterday in the Sistine Chapel, and we won't know what happened until after the conclave. A few theories is that some of the selected cardinals who were able to make 15-minute speeches went way over their allotted time slots. Maybe there was a mechanical error with the stove. There could have been a medical emergency with one of the cardinals. It should never have taken 2 hours, but it did. Around 9 p.m. we saw the black smoke, which means we wait until today. Right now, they have been voting this morning, and we're expecting to have a result of that in the next 20 minutes or so.
And Colm, what result could that be? Are we expecting more black smoke?
Well, Georgie, I think we're going to see more black smoke. But the interesting thing is actually the morning ballot they don't release any smoke if it's black. Midday, they will release black or smoke. The afternoon one, they will only release white if it is white. And then in the evening, it's back to black and white. It's a complicated system. But we're expecting that this could stretch until the evening and possibly, as you heard Bishop Barron say there in your VT, it could even go into tomorrow morning, Friday morning.
Colm, who are the front runners, and are there any insiders who are leaking information about how things are going on in there?
Susie, it's if I had the answer, I'd be a very wealthy man. I'd be down at the bookies putting on money. And I think I was saying to you yesterday that already something like $14 million has been put down on bets. On your screen now, you can see some of the people who are being said to be the front runners. Mainly Italians. In fact, there's 3 Peters in this. There's Pietro Parolin, who is Peter Parolin. He is the second in command, the Secretary of State. You have Peter Turkson. He is from Ghana. He's seen as a more traditional conservative candidate coming from Africa. You have Peter Erdo, again, a traditional conservative card coming from Budapest in Hungary. But Tagle, who I saw mentioned in that piece as well, he comes from Manila in the Philippines. And just think about it. Manila has such a huge amount of Catholics, as do countries in the continent of Africa, across Asia. So a lot of people are saying, you know what? To be truly representative of the global Catholic Church in terms of people who are practicing their faith today, it should be an African Pope or someone from Asia. Whether that will happen now, maybe it could be in future conclaves. We'll have to wait and see.
It would be a remarkable result. Hey, Colm, I know this is not the most important thing, but I've always wondered, what do they burn that makes the smoke either black or white?
Wally, what is this, a chemistry test?
Yeah.
You're asking me the chemicals? Well, you know what? They have these cartridges that they put into the stove, and they've made the system more electronic because in the past, Wally, they had a problem where they didn't put the right amount of chemicals in. And in 1958 and 1978, people were standing in the square looking at greyish smoke. And some people were saying, we have a new pope, and the people beside them were saying no, and it was total chaos and confusion. But if you want to know, and I'll quiz you on this at the end, so you better be listening.
Right, yeah.
For the white smoke, it's a mix of potassium, chlorate, lactose, and resin. And for the black smoke, it's potassium perchlorate, sulfur, and another chemical that I can't pronounce. So that's it.
Yeah, chlorate and perchlorate. It's a very important difference, Colm. I'm all over it. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
The big questions, Waleed. Let's get to some other news. And a health worker in the UK has won around $60,000 in compensation because her colleagues compared her to Darth Vader. It came about after a co-worker did a Star Wars-themed personality test on her behalf, which categorised her as the heavy-breathing villain. She was awarded the money because the tribunal found such a comparison at work was upsetting and insulting. We wouldn't want to talk about it, not to upset anyone, but we have done the quiz. Susan Youssef, Nick Cody.
Welcome to the show now. Who are you?
Who are you? Who are you?
No, we couldn't possibly.
Nick.
Please tell us.
Where would you? Who are you?
I was Han Solo.
So was I!
Get out!
Yes! Hold on a second.
Get out of here, Darth Vader!
But no, I'm Era 404.
I love that guy! Oh, no.
Must be one of the new ones.
You've got to be a real fan. It's a real deep cut.
Wait, we're all Han Solo.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think this test is just rubbish. Whatever you put in, you're Han Solo.
No,
Actually, I did it. If I'm being honest, I did it twice.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, the second time I was Bob Feta. It's like a cheese-based Star Wars character. Is that right?
It is,
Yeah, I think I'm all over it.
The Greek version, yeah.
Now to Queensland, where Premier David Crisafulli was out promoting his reading challenge. Say what you like about his politics, he's got an excellent taste in literature.
And it shows you what the opposition do.
Premier, what book are you currently reading?
Bluey.
To be fair, he is a Liberal, so he'd love a title, Bluey. He'd hate Reddy or Greenie, but Bluey, very good. Now, if you're so much of a Bluey fan, David, go on, prove it.
So he's dispatched them all to the boundary, and then in the end he spoons one to his sister. And here you go, ready? Boom. Oh, I thought that was like a paddle.
Now I've got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old at home. Obviously, it's the episode Cricket. They've turned it into a book. Smart cash grab there, Bluey. But he's given away the ending halfway through. Not a smart move. Anyway, for the Premier, very tough crowd.
Stripe couldn't spin to save himself, but if he could land it on the crack, Rusty wouldn't have a chance.
Now, it's not the Premier's fault the kids are bored. They know what happens in it already. It's like me trying to tell Waleed the news.
Yeah.
And then there was a beef Wellington. You're like, I know, mate, I know.
And now there's a break. We'll see you soon. Welcome back. You're watching The Project.
Now, today, accused murderer Erin Patterson returned to court, taking the stand the medical staff who tried to treat her after the deadly lunch that claimed 3 lives.
Today, Leongatha Hospital staff took the stand, picking up from yesterday with GP Dr Veronica Foote, who said she believed Erin was dehydrated due to gastro-illness and that she appeared upset during her examination. Despite being told she may need a liver transplant, Erin discharged herself against advice about 5 minutes after arriving.
Her life was at risk. These guys were really unwell. She told me she had eaten the same meal as the other guests at the lunch.
Nurse Kylie Ashton, who was on duty rejecting claims that Patterson had promised to return to hospital.
I don't recall her ever saying she was definitely coming back.
Another nurse, Claire Munro, revealing the hospital exhausted its supply of mushroom toxin medication on Ian and Heather Wilkinson.
She didn't look unwell like Heather and Ian. I recall Ian being so unwell he couldn't lift his head from a pillow, but Erin was sitting up on the bed from the trolley.
She urged Erin to get her children tested after learning they had eaten leftovers.
That was when she became quite teary and quite worried. She also said, I don't want the children involved in this.
The prosecution also called on Tanya Patterson, wife of Matthew, the brother of Erin's estranged husband, Simon.
Erin and Simon didn't really interact that much at family events. Erin had taken the kids out of school to a different school without telling Simon and wanted Simon to pay child support, which was not the plan earlier.
Erin Patterson has pleaded not guilty to 3 charges of murder and 1 of attempted murder.
Well, 10 News first, Samantha Butler is in Morwell. We heard today that Erin Patterson left the hospital against medical advice. Samantha, what more can you tell us about that?
Well, Georgie, the court heard that Erin Patterson presented to Leongatha Hospital 2 days after the lunch in July 2023 complaining of gastro symptoms. But several nurses took the stand to give evidence today, and they said that she was very reluctant at the time to receive any sort of treatment or even be assessed. Now, at the time, they took her, checked her vital signs, they took her heart rate and blood pressure, which were elevated, and they stressed to her how important it was for her to be admitted so that they could monitor her, especially considering that 4 of her lunch guests were all critically ill in hospital. But she said she didn't want to do that. The court heard that she said she needed to go and sort out her children, but she'd be back in about 20 minutes or so. She ended up coming back about an hour and a half later, but even then the court heard that she was very reluctant to receive treatment.
Wasn't it fascinating hearing from doctors trying to find the source of the mushrooms in court today? What did you take from that?
Yeah, well, we heard from a toxicology expert who was contacted by Leongatha Hospital after Erin Patterson was admitted, and he spoke of a conversation that he had on the phone with Erin when he was trying to work out where these mushrooms had come from. Now, he said that Erin told him that she had bought some from Safeway, now Woolworths, and some from a Chinese grocer in either the suburbs of Oakley or Glen Waverley, both suburbs in Melbourne, but she couldn't remember which one. He actually offered to get a list of those Chinese grocers up on his phone and read them out to her to see if it would jog her memory, but she said she'd bought them a couple of months back and she simply wouldn't remember.
The jury also heard testimony from Erin's daughter. What did she say about how the day unfolded?
Yeah, well, in about the last hour or so of court this afternoon, the jury was played part of a police interview with Erin Patterson's daughter, which was conducted in August 2023, a couple of weeks after the lunch at Erin's home. And her daughter was asked a series of questions about the events on that day of the lunch. Now, she said that she and her brother weren't present at the lunch. She told the interviewer that her mother had arranged for them to go to the movies. And she said that her mum had told them that she wanted to have a lunch with Don and Gail Patterson and Heather and Ian Wilkinson to talk about adult stuff. That was the term that she used. But she did also tell the interviewer that the following day she and her brother were given leftovers from the lunch. She also said that that day her mother complained of feeling really quite sick and that she'd gone to the toilet about 10 times and had barely eaten any dinner. Now, throughout all of this, Erin Patterson was sitting in the dock. She appeared to become quite emotional. At one point, she picked up a tissue and held it to her mouth and looked like she was trying to avoid crying. Now, this was just part of the police interview, and we are expecting the rest of that to be played to the jury tomorrow morning when court resumes.
Well, that will be fascinating to see. Samantha, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more news coming up after this.
Back, watching the project.
Some more of today's top stories now, and another accolade for renowned cancer researcher Professor Richard Scolyer. His book Brainstorm has been named Social Impact Book of the Year at the Australian Book Industry Awards. But today, while celebrating his success, the 58-year-old who revealed in March that his cancer had returned was very pragmatic about his prognosis.
I'm still here and still able to chat to you, so I'm pretty pleased about that. I guess who knows how long I've got. Yeah, could be months, could be less.
Oh. All right, there's a push to make smacking children illegal in Queensland. 32 child protection groups are backing the call as part of a review of the Sunshine State's criminal code. Corporal punishment in the home is already banned in 65 countries, including New Zealand, but the Premier has ruled out any law changes.
It's not for the state government to tell a parent how to provide discipline and structure and guidance and support to a child. That's for a parent to do. But there are assault laws in place.
And promoting the humble ham sandwich will be banned in South Australia as part of a crackdown on unhealthy food and drink advertising on public transport. A national advertising lobby group, though, claims the ban, which covers processed meats and treats like chips and lollies, will have a negative impact on business. It says, for example, that food festivals that may occur in Adelaide, you're not going to be able to advertise for those because they would be wiped out as part of this.
Do we know?
If life was a cartoon, a pig would have made that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know I've gone in very heavy with the content tonight, but That's my thoughts.
Yeah,
You're so
probably
right.
a chocolate-covered pig. I mean, they'd be really...
Oh, like my version of a turducken.
Yeah.
A pig dipped in chocolate, drenched in whiskey. A Cody birthday cake, if you will. Yeah.
Well, as much as I would love to continue this, it is May 8, or if you're Australian, May.
That's right, mate. And a lot has happened on May over the years, so let's get into On This Day.
Let's start our historical look at May with this. Today's the day the OG plague arrived in sunny old England in 1348. And no, we're not talking about the introduction of working holiday visas or when the Ruby Princess docked in London. Remember COVID?
It was a big day for dentists, with Coca-Cola first going on sale in 1886. The secret ingredient, literal cocaine. Coincidentally, 1886 was the same year the first automobile was invented, something you would only come up with if you were absolutely cooked. I need a big box with wheels, and it's got to go faster than a horse, and we all sit in it.
In 1429, friend of the show, Joan of Arc, turned the tide of the 100 Years' War. It took her 100 years, but when she finally got going, that girl was on fire. What, too soon? Grow up.
Huge day for movies, guys. The first James Bond film, Dr. No, with Sean Connery, hit American screens in 1963.
Bond. James Bond.
Dr. No is also what I said when my physician asked me to give up drinking original recipe Coca-Cola.
That's a true story.
I'm just not going to do it.
Today, the 8th of May, was Sarah Ann Henley's lucky day when she lay by the bay and made things out of clay. No, she didn't. She went old-timey viral by miraculously surviving a 250-foot drop from a bridge. How, you ask? Because her skirt acted like a parachute. A parachute for a skirt? What are they going to give us next, Sarah Ann Henley? Functional pockets? Unlikely.
The fur officially started flying with the Westminster Dog Show kicking off nearly 150 years ago. It was won recently by whatever the hell that is. So, thanks for nothing. Hard to believe this event came about before they started putting Class A drugs in soft drinks.
Oh, and history has to hurry up, I'm being told. So 1978, Austrian mountaineers Reinhold and Peter, they've got last names, but why say them, became the first people to climb Everest without oxygen. Oxygen 0, but there is 10 out of 10. Look at them collars, you know it.
The only people who have been higher than them is literally anyone who got their hands on an olden day Coke.
He's still at it. More on this later, but a huge happy birthday to Sir David Attenborough, turning 99 today. Protect him at all costs. Hold your applause. On the home front, Pat Cummins notches 32, and the blue wiggle, Anthony Field, hits a healthy 62. Wow. How do you ask? Fruit salad and money. Mate, what a day.
Sure was, mate.
This is The Project. Welcome back. The body count from Labor's election massacre keeps growing. And for the party's Kingslayer PM, perhaps the sweetest of all, he's now taken out not one, but two rival party leaders.
A short time ago, I called the Labor candidate for Melbourne, Sarah Witty, to concede, to congratulate her and to wish her all the best as the next member for Melbourne.
It's proving to be a victory for the ages. King Albanese not just defending his throne, but beheading other rival political parties in the process.
There's now a swathe of seats where Labor MPs owe their political life to Liberal preferences. And the Greens are there in those seats as the real opposition to the two-party system.
This has to be the sweetest victory of all.
While the Liberals have been forced to retreat, the Greens had been defiant in the face of loss.
This record high result in the Senate is something that we are incredibly proud of.
I think it's going to be a tough job for the Greens because they are going to have less manpower and less resources. But there is no way that you could look at this election, even though a lot of people voted for the Greens, and say it was a success.
While the Greens will likely hold their 11 Senate seats, in the lower house, their 4 seats will likely be reduced to 1, spelling the end of Stephen Bates, firebrand Max Chandler-Mather, and leader Adam Bandt. Their primary vote was down by about 200,000 ballots. A now former Queensland MP railing against his now former workplace.
One of the things I'm quite happy about at the moment is I don't have to spend more time in the House of Representatives. It was bloody awful. I remember where basically half the Labor front bench was there in Parliament just screaming at me, like calling me a joke and an idiot. I remember walking back into my office and almost throwing up out of stress.
Drawing a quick response from the PM.
Maybe what he needs is a mirror and a reflection on why he's no longer in Parliament.
The party now forced to work out what went wrong.
My initial take is that some votes leaked away from us as people saw Labor as the best option to stop Dutton.
It may be that it is more about asking a question of why people have gone back to the Labor Party, whether that's Medicare, Donald Trump, Peter Dutton's policy on nuclear power. It may just be that they weren't effective enough at courting new votes.
So as the Greens count the cost of a bruising election, what's next for Australia's third party?
Well, Green Senator Mehreen Faruqi is with us now. Senator, I understand it's been a difficult day, so thanks for your time. What went wrong for your party?
Well, thank you so much for having me. And yes, it has been a day full of emotions for me and my party room, and of course, the thousands of Greens members who Adam has led with such grace, with such integrity, with such principle, and with passion and compassion. And we are so proud of Adam and, what he has achieved in the 5 years as leader. And I have to say that it has been an honor for me to serve with Adam for the last 6 years in my time in Parliament, because he has put so many important issues on the national agenda: action on climate, renters' rights, human rights, and so much more. So yeah, it has been a really emotional day, and it is not something that we expected at all. And yeah, it'll be a tough few more days. But when you talk about what went wrong, I guess the party will sit down and we will look at what went right and what went wrong. But it is clear that a lot of progressive Australians who were quite anxious about a Peter Dutton government, about those Trumpian policies that Peter Dutton and the Liberals wanted to bring in, and about a pretty hateful, divisive campaign, which was punching down on migrants and First Nations people, did actually move away and voted for Labor. But I think you also have to see that those same voters voted for the Greens in the Senate, where we have all retained our seats and we are in the sole balance of power. Yeah. So they have actually given us the responsibility to make sure that we carry on with the bold vision that we presented at the election.
So, Senator, it is interesting that the Senate vote is intact. It's also interesting that basically wherever the Greens had MPs in the lower house, that's where they seem to suffer the worst swings. So clearly there was something about the people who had Greens representatives that they obviously weren't satisfied or they wanted to go elsewhere. Is it possible that the Greens are just an upper house party and that's where Australia wants them and that's their best role within the parliament?
Well, Australia, definitely, it's clear, Walid, you're right, that Australian people want the Greens to be in the Senate fighting for them. But I think there were particular circumstances in this elections. All our lower house MPs have really represented their communities with so much passion and integrity and fighting for what their community wanted them to fight for. I think we do have to think about how we retain and gain lower house seats, because the two major parties will join forces, as they did this time, to keep us out. So maybe we need to look at and think about a strategy where we gain those seats in our own right, without the two party needing any of the two parties. So, we will sit down, we'll talk to our colleagues and our members and our supporters and think about a strategy. But I don't accept that the people of Australia don't want us in the lower house. We have many lower house seats in state parliaments, and we still have one in the federal parliament as well. And Adam was in his seat for 15 years.
Now, the Prime Minister has been highly critical of the Greens blocking housing policy. He's told you guys to get out of the way on this now. Will you?
Well, the Prime Minister and the Labor Party are doing double time in trying to pressure the Greens to just acquiesce to their agenda or rubber stamp what the Labor Party wants. I think the Prime Minister needs to know that that's not how democracy works. Millions of voters in this country voted for the Greens this election, and they have put us back in the Senate with a very strong vote. And they actually want us to fight for the bold vision that we took to the election, the vision on renters' rights, on acting on the climate crisis,
Senator, can I just
acting against the genocide in Gaza.
Just quickly, though, while we have you, did those stands you took on housing were ultimately led in the end to close to total capitulation and Labor ultimately getting a lot of what they wanted through? Did that hurt? Did the Greens' votes suffer ultimately because of the grandstanding on those issues?
Well, we did get through us holding out and really pressuring Labor. Labor put in $3.5 billion in community and social housing, which they actually weren't going to do. So we did push Labor to do better. We did get them to act. And, you know, we negotiated till the last minute. And when we knew that this negotiation wasn't going to work, you know, we kind of decided that we had done enough. And we couldn't pressure Labor any further, and we would come back in the next Parliament and think about how to make things better for renters, for first home buyers. People are really struggling, Willie. And, you know, like I said, it would be a betrayal from the Greens, who have been put there in the Senate in a very strong position by millions of voters, to not keep fighting for that bold vision that we took to the election.
It will be a fascinating Parliament to watch unfold, especially with new leadership. Senator Faruqi, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Now, Pauline Hanson was on Sky News last night discussing Greens leader Adam Bandt losing his seat, and as you'd expect, she kept it very classy.
Well, Chris, just quietly between you and I was getting ready to come onto your program when I heard the news. And I couldn't help it. I did a dance around the house in my bra and knickers, and I had to have a gin and tonic. So I am so excited. That's the best news I've heard.
What? That's how I act midweek. It must be a Ranner thing.
To more news, and still on a high from their decisive election win. Labor MPs have returned to Canberra ahead of tomorrow's caucus meeting as Anthony Albanese prepares to reshuffle his ministry. A faction war could see Attorney General Mark Dreyfus dumped from the front bench, and the PM isn't saying whether Tanya Plibersek will remain as Environment Minister either in his new-look cabinet.
Look, we have a process and we'll work it through.
Tanya Plibersek is an outstanding senior minister, and I've got absolutely no doubt that she'll remain a senior minister.
I'm just delighted to be back in Canberra and very keen to get back to work.
More tragic news out of Gaza. At least 33 people, including children, have been killed. Dozens have been wounded after 2 Israeli airstrikes hit a crowded restaurant and market in Gaza City. The restaurant was operating as a community kitchen, one of the few places where Palestinians can get a meal. It follows attacks on Tuesday that killed at least another 59 people.
Beyond terrific. Let's head back home. And they're done hibernating. The Bears will join the NRL competition in 2027. Premier Roger Cook committing $65 million to support the new Perth club, the league's 18th franchise. The West Australian's front page today suggested it's a case of bad news bears for West Australian taxpayers. But league boss Peter Vlandis says the Premier's done a great deal.
The negotiations were like a game of rugby league. He was a halfback I couldn't catch, so he's certainly a wily character and a very good negotiator. But at the end, I think we're both very satisfied with the deal that was done.
A halfback he couldn't catch? Yeah. Where's your winger?
Yeah.
What's going on? What's happening?
I'm with you. I think that this is very positive. However, I am dreading the amount of times that we are going to have to correct West Australians who are going to be talking about rugby union instead of rugby league.
When they say rugby instead
yeah, it's like, oh, we're so excited for the new rugby team. I'll be like, league. Rugby league team.
Rugby.
Yeah. You're so sorry.
Yeah, rugby.
Yes, actually, you're so sorry.
Rugby league.
Rugby league.
Do you think they will have a lot of supporters in Sydney? So will the old Bears fans come across to support a Perth team?
I think that they will, but just the pure fiscal, damn it, it's going to be so expensive for them to constantly travel over there. So maybe for big games.
For away games, though. Imagine they go to Sydney. Do you think they'll have these two support bases?
Yes, I do. Inbuilt supporter base.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what makes it work. Because I'm not entirely sold that Perth will jump on board in the way that wouldn't be sustainable on its own. Maybe they'll need both of those.
Are they still going to be black and red?
I think so. I hope so.
I can
What
get
a
on
jersey.
board. I like those colours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
But no,
the
I'm
main
always
thing.
a Rabbits fan.
Yeah. I was like, whoa. Just got the whole Yusuf
I'm so
fan being
sorry.
like, oh my God, shut
Oh
her
my
up.
gosh, I think my dad just disowned me.
Okay, we've got to take a break. We'll be right back.
Well, he's committed his life to the planet and all its inhabitants. Today, Sir David Attenborough is celebrating his 99th birthday. An urgent message, his gift to the world.
Nobody knows exactly how many different kinds of animals there are here. Wherever you look, there's life.
For more than 7 decades, David Attenborough has been opening windows into the lives of the planet's most incredible inhabitants.
We are both, of course, great apes.
Discovering creatures of the sea.
And it's coming up, there! The blue whale.
The land. And the sky.
When he came to allocate a scientific name to this bird, called it woohoo.
A storied career starting with the BBC and London Zoo, where they'd capture animals in the wild and bring them to the UK to exhibit.
I look back on those days with mixed feelings, because the fact of the matter is that these are not pets. These are wild animals, and they should be in the wild.
But in the years after, his focus shifted to his true love, conservation, bringing us the rarest of moments in his program, Life on Earth.
These baby gorillas started taking off my shoes. Well, you can't talk about the opposable thumb and the importance in primate evolution of the grip if somebody's taking off your shoes. Particularly if that somebody is two baby gorillas.
He's written, produced and narrated more than 100 documentaries. He's the recipient of 32 honorary degrees, has more than 40 species named after him, receiving a knighthood for his service in 1985.
I think it's stunningly beautiful.
Second only to his home, his favourite place in the world, off the coast of North Queensland.
People say to me, what was the most magical thing you ever saw in your life? And I always say, the first time I put on a mask and went below the surface.
But as he enters his 100th year, the message he's been desperately trying to share still going unheeded.
Last month was the world's hottest month on record.
As the damaging effect of wildfires in California is felt, scientists have confirmed 2024 was the hottest year on record.
The UN has warned the world is on track for what it calls a catastrophic 3.1 degrees Celsius of warming this century.
The human race is approaching a crisis. This is not fun. This is not fiction. This is a huge problem and of impending disaster that we have to face.
And he's seizing this moment, releasing what could be his final film, sharing one of the greatest messages he's told about the ocean.
After a lifetime of filming the natural world, I now understand the most important place on Earth is not on land. If we save the sea, we save our world. The ocean. Our final frontier.
Dr. Charlie Veron has been exploring the oceans with Sir David Attenborough for years, and he joins us now. Charlie, what's Sir David like to work with?
When he's in work mode, he likes to absorb information from whoever's around. He ignores producers. He ignores photographers. He does his own thing in his own way. And so he must be hard on the production team, I would think. If you see him on television, it looks like it's a professional production, but it isn't. He behaves as a complete amateur. He's unscripted. He does what he likes. He waves his hands around. He says what he likes, not what other people want him to say. And I feel it's very refreshing. He's just himself. And it's lovely to hear him reveal to the big wide world the stuff of science. He's not a scientist, he doesn't pretend to be, but he does absorb the stuff that scientists give him, and he brings it to life. And it's wonderful to see him do that.
How did you come to know Sir David as a conservationist?
Well, he wasn't a conservationist when I first met him, by a long way, not at all. He was a documentary producer of wildlife. It was about 10 years ago, over a glass of wine, well, several glasses of wine, we sat upon him, ambushed him, if you like, and really, I think, helped convince him that the world of beautiful things of nature was under threat, and he should join the ranks of those that were trying to do something about it. I'd have to say he didn't warm to that immediately, but as we all know, he became probably the world's foremost advocate of nature conservation, and he has done an incredible job. He's just so good at it.
Doc, Sir David has been calling for more action on climate change for so long now. How do you think that he would be feeling about the progress that has been made on that front, and how do you feel about it?
I would feel as he would, that it's devastatingly bad, as scientists over and over again repeat, and he would, I imagine, be happy with his recognition in this field, but he would be pretty unhappy about where the world is going. So it's as if the world is deaf to him and all other conservationists. So he's not a happy guy, I wouldn't have think.
Doc, I don't want to make this too serious. I'm a big fan of Planet Earth. My favourite part, of course, the animal fights. Yeah. What are some of the best underwater battles between beasts that you've witnessed?
Underwater you see much more battles than anywhere on the land.
Yes.
You see them absolutely all the time. All over the place. The oceans, especially coral reefs, with all the different species, all crammed in together in very small space. They all fight each other all the time, and they eat each other all the time. So the coral reef is by far the most dynamic place on Earth, and so everything is either running from something else or attacking something else. Everywhere you look, that's what coral reefs are all about.
It sounds like surface paradise of the actual ocean, though.
It sounds more like a pub brawl, actually.
Yeah.
I think. But anyhow, everyone's drunk. So, you can imagine. You dive down, you think, oh, it's a lovely, pretty place, and then something comes along and attacks something else. And you can see that all the time.
Well, with that, I don't think Tourism Australia is going to get in touch.
No, this is breaking the first rule of Ocean Fight Club, though.
Yeah.
It really is.
You're so right. You're so right. Dr. Charlie, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your reflection on Sir David. We so appreciate it.
That's my pleasure.
All right, Tom, you're watching The Project. We'll be back.
Welcome back to the Project.
Now, it's not called the Get Anywhere in 5 Minute City for nothing. Adelaide has been named Australia's happiest city in the latest Happy City Index. It came out on top after being ranked 29th globally, thanks to its festivals, wineries, beaches, and its far less traffic. Canberra is the next happiest Aussie city, followed by Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane.
Forgetting the main thing here, Adelaide, 3 24-hour bakeries. That's its secret. 2 a.m, I want a vanilla slice. Boom. There you go. That's happiness.
You can do it.
I want a pie, and it's fine.
Okay, I'm upset with this because why is Brisbane behind Sydney and Melbourne and Adelaide? What a lovely place to live.
No 24-hour bakeries. It all comes down.
Actually, we've solved it far quicker than I thought. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I'm just learning about the 24-hour bakeries. I spent 2 months in Adelaide at the beginning. I've wasted my life is what I'm realising.
You were sleeping instead of eating pies like a fool? All right, you'll learn next time. Now, still in Melbourne, where one of the zoo's tigers underwent some dental work.
Oh.
Have a look at this.
Wow.
The craziest part of the surgery, purely cosmetic. Caps are a thing now. You know? And that tiger, less animal print than some of my aunties.
The same number of veneers. All right, now, R&B superstar Usher today announced his long-awaited return to Australia, and Rove sat down with the star to talk all things sex, love and passion. Those are their words, not mine.
Nobody sets dance floors and hearts alight like Usher. The reigning king of R&B has 8 Grammys, 18 Billboard Awards, and last year performed to a cool 129 million people on music and sport's biggest stage.
got through with love. How you finally, you make me want to say no.
Now Usher is gearing up to bring his past, present, future tour and those smoking hot moves down under.
It's been 11 days, umpteen hours. I'ma be burning till you return.
Usher, thank you very much for joining me.
Bro, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing very well.
My camera has been drinking all night. Sorry, my cameraman is just moving around in the room. Sorry. Please, don't be distracted by him.
We are very excited for your tour coming down here. 8 shows. How are you feeling about it?
Amazing. You can't be more excited than I am.
Oh, I don't know.
It's been 10 years. It's been, I think, maybe 10 years since I've been there. I love Australia. I get a chance to enjoy each and everything about it. Many people ask if I ever decided to retire, where would I retire? I say Australia, because I just love the energy. I love the food. I love the access. I love a little bit about all of the things about it.
Now, do you love our accent when we're saying your name, though? Because I feel our accent ruins it a bit when someone would see you and go, Usher, Usher.
Yeah, a bit, yes. Usher. No, I got on. That's the only part that makes it a bit odd. But, you know, obviously we're speaking our English, so it's like cool. You know, we get a chance to, we understand each other.
That's good. That's good. Hey, look, your tour has been given 5 stars and been called completely preposterous and preposterously entertaining.
Hey,
was that the brief?
That was the brief. At least that was the goal. It is definitely a labor of 30 years in celebration of all of the catalog that I have. I do over 40 songs playing the hits. And there's some things culturally that I brought to the stage that I've never gotten a chance to do, like skating on stage.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of things in my music you might have not noticed, like, you know, sex. There's love, there's passion. But all of those things are in some way kind of a part of the storytelling.
Well, whenever I think sex, I think roller skates, so that's a no-brainer for me.
Sexy. Yeah.
So take me through the idea of roller skating.
Roller skating is something that's a part of my life. You know, I've been doing it since I was a teenager.
Have you ever had any major accidents because of it? A stack, as we would say here.
A stack, yeah, I ate. I ate it maybe 2 times. And on occasion, you know, here's the beautiful thing about skating. It's like, life is like skating. You fall, you get back up. In the event that you have a mistake, only you should know it. Don't let the world see it. Don't let them see you sweat. You got to keep it moving.
Now, what are the other elements that I'm hoping you'll be bringing here? I've been seeing a lot of the footage on TikTok. You feeding the audience. Is it coming to Australia? Will we be seeing cherries?
I don't know. Do you think they really want the cherries in Australia?
I want the cherries.
Yeah.
Sex, roller skates, cherries.
You want the Yeah, well, you know what? I may bring the cherries. But by then, I may have another idea. You never know.
Now, I'm going to make a suggestion here. Could it be your favourite Australian candy, your favourite Australian snack food? You know what I'm talking about?
Red licorice.
Yes.
Australian red licorice. I ordered this. You know this, right?
Well,
there should be loads of this waiting on me.
But
there should be loads of this waiting on me when I get here.
It's a newer idea for me to know that it hits such a chord with you. It's not like it's a staple here, but what is it about our red licorice that you love?
I have no idea why it's so good and what you do that's so different than American licorice, but it is by far the best licorice that I've ever tasted in my life. It is a necessity. It's on every single list of writer that I have for anything that I do. It's always there.
I have some here. I'm going to try it for the first time in front of you, but I'm going to try to make it like it's a cherry experience. So if you just pretend to hold your hand out, I will pretend that you've placed it into my mouth like a mother bird.
Oh, wow. What does it taste like?
Usher, that's good licorice.
Hey, you're not going to just have one, too, by the way. It's by far the best licorice in the world. Am I lying?
No, that's great. That's sensational licorice.
Yeah. It's great. I know. It's great.
Well, look, we're very excited that you're on your way. And look, there's going to be plenty of red licorice for you. And I think I can only return the favour. So if you just pretend to move your mouth, I'll pretend I'm feeding you licorice in return.
I can't help you, bro.
There you go.
No, get out of here. No.
Eat it!
No.
Eat it!
Well, tickets for Usher's tour go on sale next Friday, but if you want to get an early pre-sale, it starts on Monday. Remember, bring the liquor in.
That is it from us tonight. Thanks to Susie Yusuf and Nick Cody.